If you're always the one reaching out, I want you to really think about this. When was the last time he texted first just because he missed you? Not because you reminded him you exist, but because he couldn't stop thinking about you. If that question makes you pause, girl, we need to talk. So many women are stuck in this invisible chase. You text first, you keep the convo going, and somewhere deep down you're afraid that if you don't, it'll all just fade, right? But here's the truth most won't tell you. The second you stop texting first, you start creating space for desire to build. Men aren't wired to chase what's always available. They respond to absence, to intrigue, to mystery. By texting first, constantly, you rob him of the very thing that creates emotional pull, curiosity. You're giving away your presence like it's a free sample. No wonder he doesn't feel the need to earn your attention. This video is about flipping the script, not by playing games, but by understanding the power of your silence. When used right, silence speaks louder than any good morning text ever could. So if you're ready to stop feeling like the one who's always giving and start being the one you can't stop thinking about, stay with me. This might just change everything. Let's get into how to stay on his mind without ever texting him first, starting right now. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools in dating. And yet it's one of the most powerful. When you stop initiating, stop chasing, and simply pull back, something subtle but deeply psychological begins to happen in a man's mind. He starts to notice the absence of your energy, the warmth, the attention, the validation, and it interrupts his pattern. We live in a culture that tells women to always be available, always be responsive, always show interest, or risk being forgotten. But the exact opposite is true in attraction. When you become quiet, not with bitterness, but with calm confidence, you create space for him to feel your absence. And in that space, he starts wondering, where did she go? Did I lose her interest? Was she actually the one I should have been focused on? That curiosity is the beginning of emotional engagement. It forces him to evaluate your value, not by your words, but by your lack of them. Think about it. People don't value what's always in front of them. They value what they have to reach for. Your silence isn't passive, it's magnetic. It draws his attention back to you without you lifting a finger. It gives him room to realize what you bring to the table when you're no longer bringing it so freely. It's not about being cold or manipulative. It's about reclaiming your power and shifting the energy. When you're silent, you break the rhythm of him expecting you to do all the emotional labor. You reframe the dynamic. And suddenly, he has to ask himself what he's doing to earn your presence. That's when the chase begins, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you actually became hard to reach. So yes, silence works, not because it's a trick, but because it creates contrast. And in dating, contrast is everything. If he never misses you, he can't desire you. Let silence give him the space to realize what he's missing. Stay silent, stay soft, stay powerful. You don't need to text him, call him, or even be near him to make him feel your presence. That's the beauty of feminine energy. It transcends words and physical space. And when you learn how to shift your energy, you can make a man think about you without doing anything that looks obvious from the outside. Energy is the unspoken language between people. It's what he feels when you walk into a room. It's what he senses when you're fully in your feminine, receptive, grounded, magnetic. When you're constantly texting first, you're in your masculine energy, initiating, leading, chasing. But when you pause, pull back, and redirect your focus inward, you move into your natural state. And he feels that shift even if he can't explain it. Here's what most women don't realize. When you stop pouring energy outward toward him and start pouring it into yourself, the dynamic changes. He may not hear from you, but he starts to feel the void you used to fill. That's where the emotional connection deepens, in the absence, not the noise. So how do you make that shift? You reconnect with your body, your emotions, your passions. You start doing things that light you up. You live in the moment. You stop checking your phone to see if he noticed you're gone and start focusing on becoming the version of you that you can't stop thinking about. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about truly embodying the energy of someone who values her time, her peace, and her worth. That energy creates attraction on an entirely different level. It's not what you say. It's the frequency you hold When you're no longer anxiously waiting for a response, when you're grounded, radiant, and emotionally self-sufficient, he can feel it. Men are drawn to women who don't need them to feel full, but who still offer something beautiful when they show up. Imagine this. You're not texting, not reaching out, not doing anything at all. And yet he finds himself scrolling through your socials, wondering what you're up to. He remembers your smile, your voice, your vibe, not because you reminded him, but because your energy did the work for you. This is how you stay on his mind without contact. You shift the focus away from control and back to connection with yourself. The stronger your self-connection, the stronger his curiosity grows. He feels you in your silence. He notices the shift, even if he doesn't understand it. That's the power of your feminine energy. It lingers, it whispers, it invites, and it makes him want to come closer without you having to chase anything at all. So stop worrying about what to say next. Stop obsessing over how to keep his attention. Shift your energy. Let him feel the difference. Let him chase that. Even if you're not texting him, that doesn't mean you're invisible. In fact, your social presence can speak volumes without ever sending a message. It's not about posting for attention or playing games. It's about subtly reminding him of your energy, your value, and your life in a way that naturally pulls him in. When used correctly, your social media becomes an extension of your essence. And trust me, men pay attention even when they don't engage. Think about it. When you're silent, the first thing he's going to do is check your profile. That's the digital version of running into you. It's quiet, passive, and doesn't require vulnerability from him. But what he sees when he gets there, that matters. And this is where you make him feel your presence without a single word. When your energy is aligned and your social presence reflects confidence, joy, and self-worth, it makes him pause. It makes him wonder if maybe you're moving on. It makes him realize that you're not sitting around waiting on a text. And that's magnetic. You don't need to overshare or try too hard. In fact, the less obvious you are, the better. A photo doing something you love. A story laughing with friends. A post that shows your glow, your peace, your power. These little glimpses into your world remind him of the woman he used to have easy access to and now doesn't. You become a mystery again. He starts to realize that your life is full, with or without him. That's when the fear of loss kicks in. That's when he starts to rethink things. Is she talking to someone else? Did she move on? Was I wrong to pull back? Your social presence becomes your silent statement. I'm not chasing, I'm living. And men are drawn to that energy because it reflects something rare, self-containment. It tells him that while you were interested, you're not dependent. And that's a mindset most women underestimate. But here's the key. This isn't just about him. Your presence online should be a reflection of your real life. Don't curate your life for him. Do it for you. Because when your glow is real, when it's coming from genuine self-love, not performance, it's irresistible. So instead of sending that text, post that story, share that win, show up for yourself publicly, not to prove a point, but to anchor yourself in the truth. You are the prize. Let him see what he's missing, not by telling him, but by letting your life speak for itself. Social presence isn't about manipulation. It's about inspiration. Inspire him to remember what he once had and remind yourself that you don't need to chase anyone to be unforgettable. Curiosity is the spark that keeps a man coming back. It's the feeling of I want to know more. And it's one of the most powerful emotional triggers you can activate, especially when you're not speaking. You don't need to text first or spell everything out to stay on his mind. In fact, the less you say, the more room you create for curiosity to grow. Most women are taught to over-communicate in dating, to explain where they stand, to check in, to clarify. But what if your silence was the exact thing that made him lean in closer? What if not knowing where you stand is what makes him obsessed with finding out? That's the beauty of creating curiosity without words. You become a mystery, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're genuinely not giving away your every move. You're letting him wonder. You're letting him feel the gap. And in that space, he starts to project his own thoughts and emotions onto the situation. He starts asking questions. Is she thinking about me? Why hasn't she reached out? Did I mess up? Who's she talking to now? The human mind can't stand open loops. Oh, especially when it comes to emotional connection. When you go silent, when you stop texting first, when you remove your energy without warning, you create an open loop in his brain. One he'll naturally want to close. And the only way to close it is to come back to you. But here's the trick. This only works when your energy is clean. If you go silent and still obsess over him in your mind, that energy leaks. He can feel it. But if you genuinely shift your focus away from him onto your own growth, joy, and alignment, that's when your silence becomes powerful. You're not faking it. You're becoming it. Creating curiosity isn't about being cold. It's about being quiet in a way that invites pursuit. You don't need to disappear. Just become less available. Don't post everything. Don't explain yourself. Leave room for him to notice the shift, to feel the lack of access, to miss the you he used to talk to every day. A woman who can stay emotionally composed and unattached while still soft, warm, and feminine is unforgettable. You don't have to do much. You just have to stop overdoing. Let your stillness be intriguing. Let your distance say what your words used to. That's how curiosity is born. And once he's curious, he'll start coming closer. Not because you chased him, but because he wants to solve the mystery you've become. That's the power of holding back. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Let him wonder. Let him reach. Let your silence do the seducing. At some point in almost every romantic dynamic, there comes a quiet turning point. A moment when the energy shifts and one person becomes the one being pursued. That shift doesn't happen because of looks or luck. It happens when you decide to flip the script and step fully into your value. That's what I call the value switch. When you stop proving you're worthy of his attention and you start remembering that you are the prize. Too often, women fall into the habit of chasing, not physically running after a man, but emotionally, mentally, energetically chasing. You overgive. You initiate every conversation. You mold yourself to be what you think he wants. All because somewhere inside, there's a part of you that fears, if I stop showing him my value, he'll forget I have any. But here's the truth. Real value doesn't announce itself. It's felt. A woman who sees herself as the prize doesn't need to perform. She simply is. She doesn't need to remind him she's there. Her presence is powerful enough to be remembered. When you flip that switch internally, everything changes externally. You become the prize when you stop giving unlimited access to someone who hasn't earned it. You become the prize when your attention becomes selective. You become the prize when you realize that love isn't about chasing someone to validate you. It's about being so grounded in your worth that the right person naturally gravitates towards you. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. When you see yourself as valuable, your energy reflects that. Your boundaries get sharper. Your standards rise. You don't settle for breadcrumbs. And guess what? That's when men start showing up differently. Because high value energy doesn't chase. It attracts. Think about it. How do people treat things they truly value? They protect it. They show up for it. They put in effort. If a man doesn't do that, he's telling you how he sees your value. Don't argue with that. Don't try to prove him wrong. Flip the value switch and walk in it. Be the woman who doesn't panic when she doesn't hear back. Be the woman who doesn't over-explain or beg for clarity. Be the woman who can sit in silence, knowing that the right man will recognize her worth without needing constant reminders. That woman is unforgettable, not because she tried to be, but because she didn't need to be chosen to know her own value. So stop wondering how to get him to see your worth. Start acting like it's already seen, and let that energy do the talking. Because when you become the prize, everything else naturally starts to chase you. There's something undeniably captivating about mystery, especially feminine mystery. It's the soft allure, the quiet confidence, the sense that there's more beneath the surface. It's not about hiding who you are, but about not handing over all of yourself too soon. The opposite of mystery is overexposure. And unfortunately, that's where many women unknowingly sabotage attraction. By giving too much, too fast, you remove the space for intrigue to grow. In the early stages of connection, mystery is magnetic. It makes a man lean in, wonder, explore. Not knowing everything about you invites him to invest more time, energy, and thought. It's not about being fake, manipulative, or withholding. It's about understanding that pacing matters. When you rush to fill every silence, explain every feeling, and show every detail of your life, you take away one of your most powerful assets, the unknown. Overexposure happens when you feel the need to be constantly available, always replying, always updating, always present. It may come from good intentions or from a fear of being forgotten, but it sends a message. Here I am, all of me, before you've even earned it. And that message, while unspoken, reduces the natural tension that keeps him engaged. Feminine mystery, on the other hand, is an energy, one that says, I'm here, but I'm not easily figured out. I'm open, but not exposed. I'm kind, but not desperate. It's the graceful art of being present without being predictable. It's knowing how to share enough to build connection, but never so much that there's nothing left to discover. You don't have to speak in riddles or play games to be mysterious. You just have to resist the urge to over-explain, over-text, overshare. Let silence be part of your rhythm. Let him wonder what you're thinking. Let him sit in the space between your responses and feel your absence instead of your constant presence. That space is where desire is born, because men, just like women, want something worth pursuing. When you give away all your emotional access for free, there's nothing to earn. But when you protect your energy, when you reveal yourself in layers, instead of all at once, you make him work for the connection. And in doing so, he values it more. Mystery keeps him leaning in. Overexposure pushes him away. Not because you're not enough, but because you gave too much too soon. So protect your depth. Let him feel the richness of who you are without spilling it all in the first chapter. You are not a quick read. You're a story worth unfolding. That's the magic of feminine mystery. And once you master it, you'll never need to chase attention again, because you'll become the woman who's always on his mind, even in your quiet. Keeping a man guessing doesn't mean playing games. It means not being predictable. It's about maintaining an air of unpredictability that sparks curiosity and keeps him engaged emotionally. The most captivating women know how to hold a man's attention, not by manipulation, but by being naturally unavailable to be fully figured out. There's a difference between being consistent and being completely accessible. And in that difference is where mystery thrives. The trick is this: if he always knows exactly what you'll say, do, or feel, the thrill of discovery is gone. Attraction is built on emotion, and emotion is driven by uncertainty. The moment a man feels he has you completely figured out, the emotional stakes drop. But when you're confident in who you are, when your energy shifts, depending on your own life and growth, he has to stay present to keep up with you. So how do you keep him guessing without playing games? You live your life fully. You make decisions for you, not for how he might perceive them. You show up with depth and purpose, not just presence. Some days you're radiant social. Other days you're grounded and introspective. Let your moods be natural, not forced. You're not a character in his story. You're writing your own. And he's lucky to be invited in. When he texts, don't always respond right away. Not because you're pretending to be busy, but because you are busy. When he makes plans, don't always say yes if they don't align with your schedule or energy. Let him learn that your time is valuable, that access to you is earned, not expected, that you're not on call for validation. Also, avoid constantly affirming your feelings or trying to define everything too soon. Let him feel a little uncertain, not unsafe, but intrigued. That gentle edge of where do I really stand with her is what keeps a man engaged. Again, this isn't about withholding affection or being emotionally cold. It's about letting connection unfold instead of controlling it. The women who keep men hooked long term aren't always the most beautiful, but they are the most dimensional. They have lives, passions, boundaries, and self-worth that radiate in every interaction. When he's with her, he feels lucky. When he's away from her, he feels curious. And that's not because she's playing hard to get. It's because she isn't easy to access without effort. So no, you don't need to play games. You just need to be unpredictable in the most genuine way. Let your growth surprise him. Let your silence make him wonder. Let your presence be something he has to earn. Because when you keep him guessing, without ever trying to manipulate the outcome, you become the one woman he can't stop thinking about. And that's how you stay unforgettable. The delayed response principle is one of the simplest yet most effective tools to keep him thinking about you without having to text first. It's not about playing mind games or trying to punish him for being slow to respond. It's about creating emotional balance and value in your interactions. When you respond, immediately, every time, you're showing that your attention and energy are always available. But when you delay your response just enough, you remind him that your time and presence are valuable. This principle works because it disrupts the automatic pattern of constant back and forth communication. When you hold back a little, you create a natural pause that gives both of you space to reflect on what was said and how you feel. That pause adds weight to your words and makes your messages stand out more. Instead of blending into a flood of text, your replies feel intentional and meaningful. Delaying your response doesn't mean ignoring him or acting disinterested. It's about pacing yourself in a way that honors your own priorities and emotional well-being. When you're not rushing to answer every ping, you reduce anxiety and create a sense of calm confidence. This calm energy is incredibly attractive because it signals that you're in control of your feelings and not dependent on his approval or attention. The timing of your delay is important. It shouldn't be so long that he feels neglected or confused, but long enough to spark curiosity. Sometimes a simple 15 to 30-minute pause can be enough to make him wonder what you're up to. Other times, waiting a few hours or even until later in the day can deepen his interest. The key is to keep it natural and authentic to your lifestyle, not forced or calculated. By practicing the delayed response principle, you set a rhythm that allows attraction to build naturally. It gives him the chance to miss your energy and anticipate your next message. Most importantly, it empowers you to reclaim your time and emotional space. So you're texting because you want to, not because you feel you have to. This shift makes you more magnetic, more desirable, and ultimately keeps you on his mind without having to text first. Owning your power isn't about controlling someone else. It's about fully stepping into your worth and living on your own terms. When you stop chasing and start being, you unlock a magnetic energy that naturally draws the right people towards you. This power comes from self-respect, clarity, and the decision to prioritize your own happiness above all else. Remember, your value doesn't depend on how often you text or how quickly you respond. It's rooted in who you are when you're not seeking validation or approval. Owning your power means setting boundaries that protect your energy and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It means trusting that the right connection will come when you're aligned with your true self, not when you're bending over backward to keep someone interested. This is your journey to freedom. When you own your power, you stop playing small. You stop compromising your peace for temporary attention. Instead, you invest in your growth, your passions, and your joy. That's when you become truly irresistible. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're authentically you. So take a deep breath and step into that version of yourself right now. Start practicing the energy shifts, the pauses, and the value mindset you learned today. Trust that your power is already within you, waiting to be unleashed. When you claim it fully, you'll never need to worry about staying on his mind because you'll be focused on owning your life. And that confidence is magnetic beyond words.